Wa dum je ti wa ya ha ya ha. Wa dum je ti wa ya ha ya ha. Yeah ha yeah ha. Yeah ha yeah ho. Wa ho wa ho. Yeah ha ha yeah ho yeah hey. Wa dum je tu wa yeah yeah ha. Wa dum je tu wa yeah yeah ha.
It's very important that we as Wet'suwet'en, the clans and the houses, have an opportunity to visit their territories outside of the communities. This is our last field trip for the 5 clans, and we've gone into more distant, remote areas where we're visiting clan and house territories and discussing issues and topics and really exercising decision-making process. It's really nice that we could be on a Yin'tah like our ancestors and appreciate the wealth and health of the resources that the territories provide and actually see what's remaining. There's been varying levels of development in all of our house territories. It's important that we visit our ancestors on the land and fulfill our responsibilities as Wet'suwet'en to take care of the Yin'tah for future generations.
This is my late mother's territory, Tsayu clan.
We're going to each of the 5 clans and asking them which part of the territory would they like to travel out to have a look at. And it's bringing them to the land to make their decisions. We all have a number of house territories. And when we go to a feast hall, we're supposed to bring the food coming off of our house territory. If there's a lot of activity on the land, such as logging, agricultural activity, pipelines, they're taking up a lot of space on each of these individual house territories. And so the availability of that house territory is shrinking for them to do their food, social, and ceremonial activity on the land. We're trying to base these decision-making processes on what's left and then try to make better decisions in the future to protect the land and make our house territory larger so that the animals can live on it, the people can live on it, and industrial activity can still occur on the land, but in the areas that's approved by the Wet'suwet'en through their decision-making process.
Give you some extra.
Legion's Coal from Australia is planning on putting in place a coal mine, and it's an open pit mine. And so what they're planning on doing is dig away the topsoil, take all of that coal out of the ground, and then ship it away somewhere else. But the thing is that it's happening on Cassia House territory. So this is one of the decisions that Cassia House has to think about and get them done. They're planning on 3 to 4 open pits. They'll work one area, then apply for an extension to another area, then an extension to another area.
I guess what's foremost in my mind after seeing what we've seen on our way up here is the destruction that's taken place by logging the land. And David was explaining how the wetlands are no longer protected. A lot of our berry picking areas have been destroyed. We're having to go further and further into the hills to find berries. And that goes for our picking herbs as well. We've seen some sites that we take for granted, drive by it every time we go past it. Typically the one out in Topley where the gravesite is. It's an ancient burial ground and we never knew it before. And now we're at Maxan Lake and I'm just amazed. I'm speechless at the beauty out here and the quietness. Everything we do and say and learn, teach our children, is based on the land, based on our territories. I was talking about our language. A lot of the words have to do with our territory. We're working hard to revive it, and one of the beautiful things about it is that we still have territory that we can go out to learn, like we're doing today, and be able to reflect that into our lessons.
That's the last little piece of original intact ecosystem there is in Smithers that has not been developed yet. There's some natural forest here. I think it's really important for the house groups to see with their own eyes and being on the land, but also through maps, what's left in our box, what resources are intact to exercise not only their rights to use the land, but exercise their authority to make decisions on the land, to provide health and wealth for future generations.
There's a lot of opportunities for people to do industrial work on the land, but they have to remember that they are on Wet'suwet'en territory. They are operating on a specific host territory.
Like family camps out here through Annabib and stuff. And Gidimden got together and they decided that this would be a cabin site. And the reason that they decided that was because there's a little island in there. And they were going to block off that area of the lake and turn this into a tailings pond for a mine. And so the clan didn't want that to happen and chose that this site should be occupied to prevent the destruction of the lake. There's just all kinds of evidence of this area being used heavily by our ancestors. And so they wanted to preserve this area.
Wet'suwet'en territory is unceded. We tried to go to the courts to say, this is our land, this is our Aboriginal right to be on the land, this is our territory, so this is our title. And in 1983, when we started the Delgamuukw court case, it was telling the government, we have unceded territory that we've been protecting for thousands of years, and we've never given up the land.
This whole area here is an old village site. There's different homes that were right along the lakeshore, and there's pit house sites as you go down the stream here. This is Missisquoi, Owl River, but our people were forced off of these territories and onto reservations. So the last time our people lived here was around 1908, 1905. We had quite a few meetings to talk about what we want to do as Laksamasu, and the chiefs and house members all got together in a couple of meetings, and we decided to build cabins up here. To reclaim this village, to come back to where our ancestors were.
Our people were kicked off the land, out of the territories, by the province with their laws. Well, Wet'suwet'en still have our laws that we run by for generations, and we're not stopping that. We need better legislative tools for Aboriginal people so that our decisions that occur will be upheld in the provincial laws depending on whose territory you're standing on. And so what we're trying to do is get a better protocol in place that the government can listen to us and utilize our Butlat system, our decision-making process, and incorporate our decision-making so that when they make a decision, then the government will recognize that as well.
Guess how Grandma said cousin? You know? Yeah. Yin'tah.
Our Nutsidetni, our ancestors, are on these lands, and they're waiting to hear our voices. They're waiting to hear our laughter. They're waiting to feel our feet walking in their footsteps. Your thought process is guided by what's around you and what your senses feel. And when you're inside a boardroom or a building, you're kind of a bit disconnected from the Yin'tah and the sounds, the smells, and more importantly, the ancestors. So it's really important that we reconnect with our territory, reconnect with our culture, reconnect with our language, and feed our spirit. And that's what these trips and being on the Yin'tah is all about.